Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are answering your questions, so stay tuned. Watch this video. Alright guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm Serena.
And I'm James.
And we are Life After Union. So this is a special video. This is one of our Twin Flame Q&As, but we actually are answering our real life subscribers' questions. So this is super exciting. We have a really good question today. I'm really excited to dive into it. I think there's many facets to this question.
This is very true. Yeah.
But that being said, if you guys don't already know, we are doing a little kind of promotion where you can share your Twin Flame specific question, and then we will answer that question via video. And hopefully in the intent that that's going to also help other people that have same or similar questions. So it's always valuable, you know, for us to get into your mind about what's actually good content and what you're actually struggling with. Because one, it makes us better at what we do. Two, it makes more valuable content for you guys, the subscribers, the watchers. And then three, it keeps our content fresh and interesting. So if you've already submitted a question, just know we've likely already seen it. It's likely already in the ranks to be talked about soon. So if you have a question, you can check the link down below and you can ask your question there. So today we have, it's kind of like one question, but it has multiple parts to it. So I haven't really conceived of how we're going to answer it, but I imagine we're just going to kind of go with the flow like we normally do.
It's like an onion, there's lots of layers.
Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know, the name of who this comment is from, and then I will go ahead and read the comment. So Without further ado, this question is from Hannah. So Hannah says, hello. Is it important for me to learn to set boundaries, especially with my twin flame? I'm not somebody who finds it important to set boundaries. On the contrary, I love to expand beyond them and use them to grow beyond myself and become limitless. If I give my twin flame all the freedom, even when there are times when he has other partners, is it right to still love him, remain open, and be there for him? Or would I become more attractive if I made myself less available and kept my distance? When he writes to me, I love responding immediately, just as I do with everyone else. Would it be better to let him wait? This is often recommended, and it confuses me. Making yourself rare, not easily available, but somehow that doesn't feel natural to me. Sometimes I think that in some ways I embody the more masculine role, even though I'm a woman. Would it be better if I unlearned that? So much love. A big hug, Hannah. So first off, Hannah, thank you for submitting your question and being brave to share that with us and to share that with others.
Such an easy question as well.
Yeah. Are you being sarcastic?
Yes.
An easy question.
An easy question.
Yes, this has many facets to it. So I'm going to let you, I have a lot to say about this question. So this is why this question is its own video on its own. But do you have anything to say right off the bat that comes to you?
Very first thing, is it important to set boundaries? Yes, it is important to set boundaries. Depending on who you are, how you deal with things, or depend on the kind of boundaries you set, meaning how you enforce them. Are they like super important? Must people stick to that? Or as in Hannah's case, no, she likes to use the boundaries to push past the limits. So the way I see that is it's good for her to, well, good for you to set those boundaries, because it gives you a target to where your limits are right now and where you feel comfortable now. And if you want to push past that, it gives you a much better idea. So you're not almost overstepping yourself and putting yourself in a situation that might feel almost awkward or unsafe, or what would be another good word or term for that?
I think those are both good words.
Thank you. So for me, just on the first point, I think setting boundaries is incredibly important. It helps other people understand where you're at, especially when it comes to your twin flame. It just gives them a better idea, because otherwise sometimes, you know, these relationships can be quite complicated without having boundaries. We sometimes don't know where to step and how far we can go, or what we should or supposedly should not do. So setting boundaries off the bat, very important.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I do think it's really important to set boundaries. I do agree with you completely. I think you already hit the nail on the head about like whoever you are and like what you're going through. So it's very case by case scenario.
Very much.
What's interesting with this question is in the specifics, Hannah, you start to get into, there's times when he has multiple partners or has other partners, and is it right for you to love him, remain open, and still support him? The question with this as it relates to boundaries is, how do you really feel, right?
Yeah.
So what's really the important distinction here is, if you feel like that's not okay and you feel like that's not honoring your guys' love and your connection, or that's not honoring the person that you would want to be with, right? And this comes from a very open-hearted place for myself. If you guys don't already know, I was in an open relationship, so I understand the dynamics of seeing your partner with another person, or seeing the person you love with another person. And I understand, like, one, the neutrality and the openness behind it, but I also understand the jealousy and the suppressing your emotions for it. So I can speak from both perspectives, which is super valuable, I think, on this specific question.
Yeah.
That being said, if your gut and your heart says, no, it's hurting me when he does this, and you are ignoring yourself to unconditionally love and support him, that's not unconditionally loving and supporting to yourself, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about knowing yourself fully on this specific instance, and knowing, okay, am I honoring myself by keeping no boundaries, or would it be more honoring and unconditionally loving to myself to set a boundary there, right? And only you can make that decision. Only you can make that distinction at the end of the day, because that answer would be different for different people. And you might want to explore both, right? So that's what I did when I was in my open relationship. Like, that was me exploring my limitlessness, exploring my edges on, like, what I think I'm capable of or what I want out of a relationship. And for me, like, it took going to that boundless place in order for me, you know, it's like, I always talk about this, but it's like the pendulum. You go really far in this direction, and then you go here, and then you go here, and you go here, and
Sorry.
and then you always find balance at the end of the day, or that's what we're kind of seeking, right? Is balance is always changing, but that's the ultimate goal. So you have to really ask yourself the hard question of, how does this really make me feel? And then act in accordance to that, because that's what your higher self and your spirit would really want for you, is for you to love yourself the way your spirit does. And if you're unconditionally supporting somebody else but sacrificing yourself, it doesn't really work that way, right? And so what's also really interesting, I want to dive into some of the next questions. Do you have anything else to say on that?
Okay. You've got the hand on this.
So I want to dive into the rest of this question, which you talk about responding immediately. So a lot of your questions are, should I do this or should I do that? A lot of your questions energetically are kind of like, how do I play the game, right? How do I get them back? Should I change myself in order to get them to respond? Should I do this or should I do that? So what I think is a bit missing here, which would actually, because you talk about being attractive or being magnetic, you know, and I think what you're missing here is the radical self-acceptance. Like saying, I am this way, I'm just somebody that responds quickly. So then own that about yourself, and don't change it because somebody else says that will make you magnetic. If it's counterproductive to what you naturally feel is intuitive and in alignment with you, then of course act in alignment with yourself. Now, if you're responding immediately out of fear, right? Like if you respond immediately and your response is based on, okay, I'm really afraid if I don't respond right now, I'm going to lose their attention or they're going to go elsewhere. Then you need to think about it from a different perspective, right? And then maybe pull yourself back, wait until you can get emotionally to that place of like neutrality or non-attachment, right? But if you just naturally are one of those people that loves and feels like ignited to respond, like whenever you get a message, then great, do that and own it about yourself. The really big thing here, I think, Hannah, is to stop doubting yourself.
Yeah.
Stop doubting whether what you're doing is right or wrong, because that's actually where the energy leakage is occurring. It's occurring in, maybe I'm not doing things right, maybe I'm not good enough as I am, so maybe I should change myself. When in reality, if that's who you are and that's what you love about yourself, keep doing that. And that is actually what will make you magnetic.
Be yourself.
Exactly. Completely.
Yeah.
So I want to address, I mean, I think this is the thing, right? Is you said something really in here that was, okay, you said making yourself rare and easily available, but somehow that doesn't feel natural to me. Okay, so that's, you literally hit the head, like the nail on the head right there.
Answer your own question on that one.
If it doesn't feel natural to you,
It didn't feel natural to me.
If it doesn't feel natural to you, then don't do it, right? Honor what feels natural to you, but you have to really own it, and you have to be conscious of what those consequences might be, right? So let's use the example of you always respond first, or you respond with more words, or you respond whatever, however you respond, right? Do what feels natural to you, but know that if that person doesn't give you the same energy back, that's something, that you have to look at within and say, like, okay, am I an overgiver? Am I overdoing this? Am I oversharing? And you kind of have to look at that, because you have to own one or the other, right? And if you're owning, okay, this is what comes natural to me, I'm going to do this, then you have to be okay with the fact that they might not respond to that. And that's okay, because you're not doing it for them at the end of the day, you're doing it for you. Yeah. And I think that's also a big distinction of some of these questions, because there's this, should I do this, or should I do this, or should I do this to get them back, or should I make myself rare, or, how should I change this as being a woman, should I unlearn this? And it's actually not doing any of that, but realizing that you're not playing the game to get a result. You're playing the game to get closer and to become more loving to yourself, rather than trying to get a response from your partner, or trying to, like, there's a lot of there's a lot of getting energy here, like, how do I get what I want? And when you kind of release that and stop worrying about how do I get what I want, and you sink into yourself. What do I want? Like, what do I want? Not how do I get that, right? Yeah. You put the focus back on yourself, and loving yourself and accepting yourself, I think, is one of the biggest things that you could possibly do in this scenario, because you're perfect as you are. You really are.
I mean, I completely agree. I think it's where a lot of people get lost. It's like, what can I change about myself to get my perfect partner? Where ultimately the best thing you can do for yourself in every situation is be your true, authentic self, and do the things that make you feel good and make you feel good about yourself. It doesn't really matter what it is. If you do something and someone else doesn't like it, be like, but this feels really good to me. Stick to your guns, because ultimately, at the end of the day, when you fall into your real, true self, everything else will fall into place. That person that you want to have in your life will come into your life. Obviously, these things sometimes take a bit longer than we might want, but you just have to make sure you're aligned with the things that you want to be aligned with. If you do that each and every single day, and you're true to that, and you're true to who you are as a person, then things will quite literally fall into place. I mean, that happened with us as well. It's like, I took a long time where I kind of stood back from everybody else, and was like, I'm just going to focus on myself now. And I got a new job. I traveled around a bit. I just started exploring life, enjoying things again. And then this one walked into my life, and it was just perfect timing, because I had completely put aside the I want to be in a relationship and all those things, and just allowed myself to be who I was. And because of that, I have now found the best partner I possibly could for myself. And it just takes a bit of time and a bit of confidence in yourself, and knowing what you truly want, and trusting yourself. That is the big part, is you have to trust what you want and who you are. If you can do that, the world is your oyster. Nothing can slow you down.
Yeah, 100%. I was also going to touch on that, on trusting yourself, because that's something we talk a lot about in Twin Flame Path to Awakening. So if you guys don't know, this is our group coaching experience, our group mentorship program. Yeah, so come join us if you're interested in doing this incredible healing, transformative work with other people, other aligned twin flames, and of course with us, the dynamic duo. If you're interested in that, you can check the links down below. But the important part here, as James said, is trusting yourself, right? Diving into what truly makes you you, and learning to love and accept that. So much of self-help out there is about kind of, changing yourself or becoming the best version of yourself. Like, all of that is a little bit of garbage, in my opinion. Really actually becoming the best version of yourself. Like, you already are the best version of yourself. You already are that. Like, you already are whole and complete. And anything that makes you think you're not is actually a limiting belief, or is actually just, a self-imposed limitation. So healing isn't more so about changing yourself or unlearning things. It's actually about embracing yourself even more.
Yeah.
And we talk so much about this also in the Twin Flame Path to Awakening, is like integrating that 5D unconditional love that you have for yourself and your twin, as you mentioned here, you know, like being open and loving, supporting your twin, while also honoring your emotions and your 3D self and your path and your wisdom. So it's like you have to learn to hold both perspectives and act in accordance where they are both in alignment. And this is something we dive so deep. I think we talk about this once a week on our program, like
at least. Yeah,
like there's always different scenarios where I'm like, okay, I know he's this, and I know in 5D it's like this, but in the 3D it's like this, and like how do I, you know, compensate for one or the other? And so we're always coming up with different examples of how to do that. So if you guys need more support with that and need a group to actually catalyze you in that space, that's your place to go. But that being said, I hope that this video helped you. I hope that this helped answer some of your questions, shed a little light on what might be going on for you. Hannah, if you watch this, if you read it and you have more questions, feel free to, you know, contact us or put it down below for everybody else. And if you guys have specific examples or questions, be sure to either, you know, fill out in the form or comment. Let us know. Did you guys think that this was helpful? Have you struggled with the same thing? We'd love to know. Thank you so much for being here today. We'll see you in the next video.